What's up, guys? Welcome to my channel. I just want to do a quick video talking about, I'll try to make it quick, but I think it's quite important. So welcome to my channel, and we're going to talk about, in this episode, I want to look at structures from, like, in India. They have temples, and they have these amazing structures, and I want to talk about how it's connected to the Bible. So basically, and like, I'm starting to realize that every culture, every single group of people in the world have truth to reality. But they're missing one thing, and that is that, well, basically everything teaches that they are God. That everything is God and we are God. But I believe that God and man are separate. And I lean towards the God of the Bible. So I follow that God, and I believe that I'm a follower of Christ, so I believe that you need, Jesus Christ in your life. And praise God, I've been shown so many things, but basically this is what my opinion is. Okay, so on Hinduism. So Hinduism, ancient Hinduism, is considered the oldest religion in the world. So I disagree with this, but it's basically the oldest religion in mainstream. And you have to always read stuff with a grain of salt, because Google's always trying to mislead. It's a mainstream, like, search engine tool, but essentially what I think is that in the Bible, God made, this is the real history. God created everything in the beginning, just like in the Bible said. He just spoke and he created the whole universe. And then basically he created Adam and Eve. They were pre-programmed, so they were already, like, fully grown, fully developed. They could speak. Adam could name everything. So as God was creating animals and plants, he was naming them all. And they had knowledge of, like, probably the properties of rocks and stuff like that, and plants, and what natural medicines, and probably how to craft basic things, and basic mathematics, astronomy, basic knowledge of how to build, like, homes and stuff like that. And they were smart, right? They were intelligent, extremely intelligent, larger than us too, pure in genetics. And then they spread out. And then it's the same story as the Bible. So the creation story, right? And basically in those days, because people get confused and they say, oh, how come there's no written thing? Well, in those days, example, if something just happened a few hundred years ago, you wouldn't need to write it down, because you already knew, you remembered, since all those people lived 1,000 years plus, or up to 1,000 years. So in those times, the golden age of creation, and where man was advanced. But this satanic system wants to reverse everything and teach you backwards everything. So what I think is that ancient Hinduism came from knowledge from the fallen angels. And basically the fallen angels taught knowledge to man, and all this knowledge spread out and taught and brought rise to different beliefs, cultures and beliefs. And I think there was an ancient Hindu culture, and people dug up all these old structures, and we're going to look at them. But essentially, so, like, basically the Bible's the oldest, because it's like, it's reality, and it was, like, spoken orally. So for hundreds of years, I think even past 1,000 years, they were all just maybe writing some separate stories here and there. Pardon me. About, like, Adam and Eve's lives and stuff, because they're actually accounts, and maybe, I think, separate texts and stuff like that, but mostly everything was just orally spoken. And then finally, in probably the first 1,000 years, second 1,000 years, they're like, okay, we have to start writing this down, because basically these fallen angels, after Satan fell, these fallen angels came. And there's some people that say, oh, these Eric von Daniken is a German. He was a German. He passed away, but he was like a German scientist or something. He wrote a book about called Chariots of the Gods. And I remember my father telling me this, my atheist father telling me about this too. He was trying to destroy my faith, basically. And I mean, my faith wavered for many years, but basically people say that that these ancient Hindu stories about these like gods flying in technology and in chariots having battles, these things are all actually misconceptions. They're actually not gods, but they're actually like aliens with technology. But I'm telling you that that's wrong. That they're actually fallen angels, and that the ones who came taught man knowledge and basically came to be worshipped as gods. So we're gonna just go through here. So basically, the timeline of the Earth is 6,000 years. We're in the 6,000th age, and basically, we're just ending. I think 7,000 is the end. I think we're just ending the 5,000. So we're just gonna reach the 6th day or something like that. It's literally like for each 1,000 years is one day for God. So basically, the timeline ends at 7,000 years, I think, around there. But basically, at the 6,000 year is when Jesus Christ comes. So we're like at the 5,000 end of the 5th age, I think, and we're reaching the 6th, I think. And essentially, it's like 4,400 years ago there was the flood. 4,400 years ago, wow, there was the flood. Yeah, that's a while ago. But this completely correlates to it. They said they found these things, and you can't really trust when they date things because it's always like they actually can date things that are alive and they're ancient too. So it's like it's inconsistent, but I think more or less is like an average, right? But it can be completely incorrect too. So I don't really take too much of mainstream like dating, like carbon dating and C4 dating. It's all bullshit, to be honest. I'm just gonna say straight up. Okay, so let's just see some things I found out. So I remember I had a very powerful spiritual experience years back, and I did during it. And basically, what I felt was that it actually if every fiber of your body's made of strings, and it basically, and you get wound up because you absorb energy from the world, negative energy from people project things onto you, stress from your life, and you basically get wound up. You get wound up tight, and essentially it unwinds you. It's a very powerful chanting. It actually I think it's knowledge from these beings, because it came from, let's see where does it. Yeah, it came from the Vedic origins, basically, the Vedas. So the Vedas were like the ancient texts and the scriptures from ancient Hinduism, and they're basically stories of these beings, I believe. And I gotta get into the actual mythology because I always loved Greek mythology when I was growing up. But basically the first Bible stuff was written in Greek, like because after they're like, we're gonna write it down in the most popular language at the time, so it was Greek. And then they started translating it into different languages, and I think the Jewish people had their own, recording, of course, right? But the oldest is Greek. But the thing is that just because these guys were writing it first doesn't mean that it's real. It's like the real thing, the real truth. Because these guys teach ancient Hinduism. I'll just tell you quickly right now, because I'm going to make a video separate about that. But ancient Hinduism created Buddhism and Sikhism. So this thing came off of it. And there's many things that I love about Hinduism, and I love to learn about all the cultures. And there's so many things that all spiritual people know in all parts of the world that can come to agree with. But I think that there's one thing that can separate both sides, is that you either believe that God and man are one, or God and man are separate. And I lean to God and man are separate because God has a personality, and he's honest, and he wrote down everything in a book, basically. And he wants you to read it and understand, because he's very specific. He's not like, just some random be a nice person, So let's look at this. Let's get right into it now. I think I just want to mute this because I want to just show you these amazing, amazing structures. It just like blows my mind. Okay, so this, I remember I did see something one time. I had like a vision, and it was almost like similar to this. It's like I feel like this is something from heaven. Like this is knowledge from heaven that that's like we're not supposed to make structures of. You know what I mean? Because then God is saying, that's why God said don't make engravings. Because then these beings, these fallen angels, they came and they look like animal people, giants. And then they basically taught mankind things, and they had wives, and they could change their forms, and they could create amazing things. And they basically taught mankind knowledge and showed it through architecture, and had places to be worshipped. And these temples are worshipped, actually. Because, they believe that everything is like God. When basically God is in, he's in this reality. He's outside it and within it, but he's not you. He can live inside people who are choosing to know him, basically, who accept him through Jesus Christ. And I mean, I guess there are people who, I have to say that you need Jesus Christ, I think. I guess you could know God in many other ways, but I think you need Jesus in the end, because he will connect you. Because God is so pure. But to say, oh, every culture, they're all bad people, no, but we have to be careful, though, because if you start saying that, because they think everything is good. Everything should be accepted. But look at this. Wow. This is like fallen angels, this looks like technology to me. They literally taught mankind technology. And I'll just tell you the technology they taught right now. So basically the fallen angels came, and it's just like those stories, like basically they taught mankind how to use energy manipulation. So witchcraft. So stuff related to stars, related to the Saturn, Mars, Jupiter, all that stuff that you can do rituals and spells and manipulate those on specific dates, correlating to the sun and moon, etc., where energies are higher and lower, and cast spells to affect people and do like curses, hexes, and stuff like that, and manipulate people and do evil things. Because all manipulation is evil, right? All manipulation is witchcraft. Gossiping is a small form of witchcraft behind someone's back. But basically, these fallen angels taught mankind how to do the case system. So how to basically create a system and govern over it, to create people and put them in lower class in a pyramid scheme that we're still in now. And then these elites, they have like these rulers. It's like they rule over us. And then they taught them mysticism. So they taught it's like people think it's Jewish mysticism, but it's actually come from ancient Egypt. So ancient Egyptian mysticism, which spread everywhere. And then I think it gave rise to all these beliefs. And then basically they teach that these gods talk to the people, quote unquote lesser gods, right? But I think they're not. They're just fallen angels. They're creations of God. And then someone made a comment like, yeah, these Hindu gods, like you can choose. There's different groups of Hindu, but basically you can believe that you can choose to worship Brahma, which is like a four-faced god, and there's like he's one, and everything emanates from him, and he has multiple aspects, multiple representations. But also, you can worship a pantheon of lesser gods, because everything is God, right? And then you can also worship like the destroyer god of creation. You can destroy the preserver god, or you can destroy the life-giving god. And I think it's much deeper. It's really deep, but I'm starting to kind of learn into it. But I gotta look into Sikhism too. But essentially, they also taught tillage, so creation of coin, so creating money. Remember, money is the root of all evil. So they created money and to control people, right? Instead of we are doing things to help each other, right, and have everything equal. These bastards taught how to control people and how to use. Basically, what else did they teach them? Oh yeah, how to do root cutting. So how to use not drugs for medicine, but drugs to get high, to have spiritual experiences. Which I think, and also they taught man about the Kundalini stuff, so that they can control your chakra. Like these witch people have knowledge about how our body works, and they basically use the system to fuck our health up. So subscribe to my channel, learn about. You can see how it's going to change my life, my body, and I'm going to teach you guys how to change your body, because everyone is supposed to have a good natural body, but the system uses tactics to basically make you have like back pain and basically suppress. So basically that knowledge about the chakras and kind of misaligning your body, basically screwing you up so you can't have the body you want. No matter how hard you work out, it's like you never get the body you desire, because they are fucking cock blocking you energetically. But anyway, I'm going too deep in that. I'll make another video about health, but this is just about the structures in ancient Hinduism. And I think how advanced they are. Basically what I'm saying is that these were not created by random people chiseling with a rock like old times. Look how amazing this is. This is just, I need to get to these places and look at them close up, because what is this on? This is what real like scientists do. And I think this guy was saying that. Look how amazing that is. And he saw like Buddha on it. I think it doesn't make sense, because it's supposed to be older, you know. I mean, I guess they could have added it later. No, I don't see why not. But I mean, some of these could be created by man, right? Because they had knowledge of after. But I'll show you the one that is. One of them is so amazing that it's hard to believe that it's actually made by man. I think it's impossible. They say, "Oh yeah, it's made by man," but it's not. Let me see. Yeah, what I'm just trying to think what else. So I think this one is probably mankind during that age where the fallen angel taught all this knowledge. Because remember, they were already advanced enough from Adam and Eve. They already had crazy amount of knowledge. But now these fallen angels, and they probably taught them how to do root cuttings to get high and drugs and partying. They also taught them how to use entertainment and illusions, dancing, entertainment to control people's minds. I'm telling you guys, this is where it came from too. And also magic, mind control. What else? Drug use to get high, partying. How to use stones to make jewelry. Makeup. Crush stones to make makeup for women, and how to make. Probably even, I wonder where the high heel came from. Probably ancient Egypt. And after also, they made, using gold and making jewelry to make women like, it's like a manipulation. Yeah, it's a manipulation, and it's like pride. And also they taught ancient man probably how to make weapons like bow, shields, and sword. I feel like that's stolen fruit. Even I played some game, it said that. That's knowledge from the heaven, man. That these angels stole that knowledge and came to heaven and gave it to man. That's exactly what it is. And it's like God is like, okay, I have to flood the world. And then these angels started doing worse other things, because their offspring was like the giants, Nephilim. But let's just continue here. So I want you to listen to this guy.
Is Kailasa Temple.
This is the one that I think was built by
Laura Caves, and this is one of the ones.
And remember, this is all buried before the flood. This is buried from the flood. So this is all damaged. And then after people damaged it, probably more.
Of the world, often overlooked by the pyramids or Göbekli Tepe or Stonehenge. 400,000 tons of rock has been removed just from this Kailasa temple, not all the other temples.
I think just one of the temples.
There is an old tradition which talks about something called a Balmastra, and this is a device that carves the rock, vanishes it, obliterates it into nothing, into dust.
Okay, this is probably one of these tales, but ancient Vedic tales. And I tried to find a video in mythology, but they were just showing me AI ones, and I don't want to see AI ones because they always don't get it right, or they don't show the scene correlating to what they're talking about. It's just could be bullshit. So I want to see some real text with images like this, a beautiful imagery. But basically they're showing, I guess, angels battling. I think what they're seeing is they're seeing fallen angels. Looks like this is some kind of fallen angel. This is like their Nephilim son, maybe. Trying to stop them from fighting, probably. The angels that are sent to come and bind them from heaven. And they came in these things. Because if you watch my channel, I think the stars we're living in some kind of enclosed realm, and the stars are probably some kind of being. Because the ancient Mayans, they were looking at them too. And the thing is that these ancient cultures started worshiping the sun, stars, and moon. You know what I mean? Instead of God, the Father who created everything. Because they teach that, oh, it's stuck in an infinite cycle. But no, it's not, guys. Trust in God. Because good and evil are not the same. God is not dualistic. God hates evil. He's pure good. And he despises everything that's not following God turns evil. If you keep doing bad, you're turning evil. I do believe in karma. So there's things I'll explain about what God... Like, I can make that in a separate video where I'm going to explain the nature of the universe. Because God, he made the universe and how it reacts. It is reactive to you. And he's sitting back, and he can help you, but you have to connect to him, but he can guide you, but you have to do things yourself, your choices. Your choice matters to you. And then also, like how you feel, what you track, it's all that real, that stuff real, I think.
Whoa, incredible.
Yeah, man, this temple, it's like, they say, oh, it's 1250 years old, but no, it's not, they're lying. It's actually thousands of years old. These people online are trying to lie.
Is Kailasa temple.
Hang on, let me see. I could miss something. This is a good channel.
So we're just now heading in to the main site here at Allura Caves. This is Kailasa Temple. This is an astonishing piece of work. Really, it should be one of the great wonders of the world. We're going to have a good look around it, get a view of it from above,
you know, it blows my mind.
See what we can see.
It's like, I think he says it looks like some kind of machine or something. I just feel like some of these temples I'll show you is pretty astounding. I think they might have some purpose, energetic purpose, or maybe it's some kind of technology, something we don't understand. Something was happening there that we don't understand, because these beings were there, right? And he tells a story, I think, about this one being built so fast because it was built for a female human. And it amazes me, like, what man can make is crazy. Like, amazing. And then after, like, what the angels make, the fallen angels make, we're freaking insane, you know. And then what God can make is even 10 million times better. Like, it's just crazy.
It was said to have begun in around 735 to 757
Praise
AD
Yahweh, the God of the Bible.
Rashtrakuta king Dantidurga, but no one really knows because they moved 400,000 tons of basically basalt. No one knows where it all went. That's one of the big mysteries. But they carved it almost like from the top down, dimension. Creating what we see here today, which is just one of the most incredible pieces. There's no freestanding stones. It's all carved out of one piece of
cut downward
rock.
That's so
There's
crazy.
Lots of different features, lots of paintings, lots of carvings. There's elephants.
It probably has knowledge
the whole
cut
temple
into
itself,
it too.
and there's kind of rock cut caves around the edge with the rock overhangs, the image of
so
deities,
massive.
and there's a couple friezes of epic scenes along with faunal flora and geometric
designs. I like to see it, like, see, when you try to learn the world by itself, it gets confusing. But when you really find out that the Bible is sound and true, and you take it literal, the King James version, pure version, and then you start looking at the world, you realize that, yeah, all these cultures, these stories are real, but these are like stories of battles from beings, from fallen angels who came to Earth. It's not aliens. It's pretty amazing.
And after the completion of the temple, there's renewed plaster on some of it, dated to the 9th to the 11th centuries AD. So the whole temple complex is surrounded by a raised pillar corridor decorated with huge panels of mythological stories. So it's going to be an epic journey today. We're going to have a look around. I've been getting advice from Praveen Mohan. He's giving me some ideas of what to look at here.
Man,
but let's not waste any more time.
Like, it always blew my mind. I wish I could see the ancient world. Also because I'm telling you, I think the world was more like the mountains. Probably we don't really comprehend how they looked before, even if they were there, even because the flood did a lot of damage, right?
Let's get in and look at the one of the, I believe it's the 8th one.
And all around the world, there's ancient structures that we can't build today, or we would struggle to, and it wouldn't even look the same either. And then also, like, quality-wise, or the intricacy of the detail, and then also because they had advanced technology and knowledge. This stuff is like from heavenly knowledge.
So this is just the entrance. This is incredible in its own right. Oh my God. Look at this. So let's just have a look at the entrance quite thoroughly first, because we've got deities,
I think I want to just
mythological creatures.
Who's talking?
We're even inside of the temple itself.
Wow. That's pretty
And I can
amazing.
see why people say this should be a wonder of the world. Just this temple alone would be really cool without the other 33
It's so
that
amazing.
exist
Like,
here. But this is just something else. Oh my goodness. And look, even that, and even around the edge.
like
You have
I
these
understand,
beautifully
what,
carved
this is pagan,
pillars
right? But what God made can
going
make is
all
better.
the way
It's just
round.
pretty amazing that these beings
This is a
came and taught man
masterpiece.
this stuff and could build
Absolutely.
this.
There's just very few errors that said to exist here. So we're going to take a walk up,
I wonder
have
how
a
it
look
looked
actually
brand new
inside.
with like
Some of
lighting
the
and everything. It must
carvings
have
here.
looked trippy,
But that's a hell of a
man.
view. Oh my god.
Can you imagine at
Look
nighttime
that.
with like fire and stuff?
That is incredible.
Brand new with like with whatever they added to it.
I just can't believe this is carved out of one piece of rock. I can't believe that.
So not aliens,
This is just
not ancient
inside one of
aliens,
the
fallen
pillars
angels.
at the back of the temple. And it just looks like Shiva
Yeah.
inside a lingam. Actually inside one. Rather than kind of just represented by the lingam shape. We don't see that very often. And I believe many of these are Shiva going all the way down here. Not just one. Different forms. Can't find where all this stone went. You multiply that by 33 or 34 times with all the other temples. It is a mystery. You could build a pyramid almost one and a half times over the Great Pyramid with the stone just that got removed. It's interesting that from here you can't actually see any higher, because you've got this overhang of rock. Look at this.
So yeah, this thing.
So
I
this
think.
has been left here on top of these pillars. Incredible. I mean, just incredible. I mean, I just don't. I'm kind of lost for words. I didn't realise it was this grand. Just didn't realise. It's just like this is just one of the most impressive places I think I've ever
that's
seen
pretty amazing.
in my life.
I think so too.
So here we are at the back end of the temple, and you can see the elephants above.
I want to see this part.
Vibration can crystallize matter into forms like a spinal
Yeah, man,
column,
people are figuring
complete
it out,
with
I think.
movement.
People are connecting the dots. That either they believe that this is real or like God is real from the Bible because they're finding the Bible sites basically. But yeah, man, I think this is definitely 100% fallen angels built. I think there's something else that I might want to see.
Into nothing, into dust, but then it just vanishes. This is what's happened here. There's 400,000 tons of rock that's been removed just from this Kailasa temple, not all the other temples, it's about one of the temples. No one can find any of it. It's gone forever. And so this Balmastra is part of these ancient Indian epic stories. It's mentioned in there, like the Vimanas, like other devices of high technology.
Yeah.
So was that responsible for the creation of this site?
Like the Vimanas might be some kind of tool that the angels used to come down. I'm thinking that might be what it is.
Serious lingam. Oh my god.
And they had like
That is
water
huge.
coming in here.
Carved out of the solid bedrock.
They had
So this-
water coming in here, like
this-
water going out.
So it flows out,
Yeah.
there's a hole down there, and it flows to somewhere in particular. So I'm going to check this out.
It flows here.
That's really interesting. So we saw it at the other temple,
So
and now
what
we're
could the
seeing it at
purpose be?
Kailasa temple.
Some
This
kind
is an intriguing aspect of lingam.
Interesting. I gotta check what that out is. So basically, there was something I saw that was similar like this. It looked kind of like a gate or something turning. But I guess this is like what we're looking at here. Oh yeah, this guy noticed this. Look, in Berserk manga, I noticed this movable Ganesh palace. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, because it's all teaching the same thing. the Japanese anime is. I remember I was reading the anime too, and I was seeing this as well, but I didn't recognize this at the time. But it's exactly this, because it's like these elites who create all our media. They know, they want to teach the deception because they're deceived. Because Satan blesses the people who teaches his that you are God. He taught that in the freaking Garden of Eden. But look at this, blah blah blah. Let's see. Look. There you go. Demonic. And I have a video. I'm gonna re-upload my video about anime, and I love anime, Japanese anime, but the connections to its demonic, like, love of demons, which demons from being, like, I was raised by a demon, and I know that demons will never love you ever. They'll try to kill you and destroy you. Anyway, I want to show you this too. This is something very interesting.
Hey guys, today I'm going to show you this strange pillar inside the Chennakesava temple. Experts confirm that this is a rotating pillar and was not built as a regular pillar. At first glance, the pillar looks like a metal cylinder, but after a closer look, you realize it is made of stone. Will this pillar actually rotate? I did take multiple tour guides, and all of them explained that the Archaeological Survey of India, a government organization, has confirmed that it was built as a rotating pillar 900 years ago by ancient builders. But the pillar stopped rotating about about 300 years ago.
According to archaeological report, that's not 300 years back. Middle part of pyramid. Bro, just drop it here. Oh, shit, computer. I just want to hear what he said there. No.
That it was built as a rotating pillar 900 years ago by ancient builders. But the pillar stopped rotating about 300 years ago.
900 only? Sure. They're like, hey, who built this? I did. That's basically what happened. These people who came and found these structures
I have already shown you.
Because basically after the flood, people started spreading out, right? And then knowledge was lost, right? And things were forgotten. So basically they're starting to spread out with these families and dig up these old sites. And they were like, yo, they just started living these giant
a pillar with rotating parts in another temple, but an entire pillar rotating would be a spectacular sight. How did it rotate? At the bottom, you can see a small gap. If you look inside, you can see small stone balls. Some of them are still intact, even though most of the stone balls have been crushed. These are the ball bearings on which the pillar rotated.
That's pretty amazing. So basically, what could be the purpose of it, right? What could be the purpose of... Wow, actually, I didn't even see...
This is called thrust bearing or thrust ball bearing, where balls
Okay, it's advanced. We don't care.
Same gap. Yes, there are ball bearings there too, confirming that it was built as a rotating pillar. But why did they create such a rotating pillar? What could be the reason for that?
Exactly.
The entire cylinder looks like a miniature index, like the table of contents.
So it's basically knowledge, dude. It's basically knowledge that we can't comprehend. And if you could download this in your brain and figure it out, it would probably bless you with something.
What do I mean by that?
But then God only wants you to know something. He has a limit to what he wants people to know, right? Because he has to teach us. We're like children, right? This life is like a test. Exactly. This life is a test to choose good or evil, basically. And I don't believe in the infinite reincarnation. You choose it and you do it now.
Yes.
Or die.
Before buying a...
Pardon me, I'm joking. But basically, God won't have you burn in hell forever. Hell is not... It's like a misinterpretation. I don't even follow the Christian churches. Christian churches these days are all hypocrites. I go there and they don't even want me there because they don't follow God, really. They despise truth and they despise God. But basically, I was going to say something. Heavenly Father, in the name of Jesus Christ, Lord, please help me remember what I was going to say. Yeah, these churches, I was saying something about the churches.
This.
Yeah, you have to choose to be good. That's what it's about.
Before buying a book, you will take a look at the table of contents to get
Okay, we're getting bored here with the book now. Reading. Let's look at the actual.
of the temple. On the top, you will see small-scale madanikas standing at an angle. All over the temple, there are giant madanikas placed around the top, standing at an angle. If you walk around the temple, you will see large carvings of various gods. We do see miniature carvings of various gods in this pillar. You can see miniature models of everything you will see in the temple. Here's a tiny elephant, a cute.
So it could be just like a table of contents of the whole thing. That's pretty advanced. Wow, that's so amazing.
And your hands will touch one another. What does it mean? This means it is completely hollow behind these carvings. These carvings are just a few inches tall. So
Come on, people!
So basically it's advanced.
Prices of the year, so get low.
Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, we're going to keep going here. Okay.
but you can see that they have carved Buddha on the front wall
Yo, the hell.
as a giant statue. This could be shocking to many people today because they think Hinduism and Buddhism are completely different religions. In fact, people theorize that these religions were fighting against each other in ancient times.
So I think they said that Buddha lived about 2,500 years ago, but this could be another enlightened person that's just sitting like him, right? Or it could be, I think the scientists say it's another god, but basically Hinduism came first, and then actually it could have been rediscovered, right? Yeah, because there was ancient Hinduism, and then they rediscovered it in Hinduism, and then during Hinduism, basically came off of, like, Buddhism came off of that.
But here you can see this giant carving of Buddha right in front of the temple, the same size as the
I love the way he
god
says Buddha.
Krishna nearby. So the ancient builders had no issues in accepting Buddha as a Hindu god.
This one might be a human made.
Unfortunately,
later on.
this is completely destroyed by invaders. You can see they disfigured it from top to bottom. And because of this destruction, some experts have even claimed that this is not Buddha, this is some other Hindu deity. But this is Buddha. You can see him in the meditating pose with clear hand signals. Not only humans, but even animals are completely enthralled by his music. But do you notice anything strange? This guy is wearing a backpack, just like today's backpack. It's clearly shown that this is a separate bag, but it's strapped to his back. This is really fantastic because we would assume that they started using backpacks maybe in the last century. But this
They
is
had
at
advanced
least
knowledge,
800
basically, is what we're finding out. Yeah, man, I think these things might be older than they were. Okay, look, temple or chariot. Interesting.
Why? I told you
Oh, yeah.
every carving has a
Bro, I'm telling you, man, it's like they're trying to replicate of what they saw was like a giant chariot that was being pulled. That landed.
purpose. These elephants are dragging a huge load. They're pulling a vehicle. And what is that vehicle? It is the temple itself.
Yeah, dude, it's like these ancient humans started copying structures of the vehicle. Wow. Because they came in a vehicle, so maybe theirs was massive, right? But I bet you God destroyed that or took it back to heaven when the angels bound the fallen ones. That's pretty insane. That's quite a
If you
connection.
take a step back and observe, you will realize that the temple is designed like a giant chariot, and it's being drawn by these
I'm gonna make a video
elephants.
about a separate video about Hinduism and its origins and connection
But there are
and its differences
many
between and Buddhism and its difference between Christianity. The differences.
mysterious, unexplained carvings inside the temple on the ceiling. Look at this. This is mind-boggling. It just appears as though a bunch of humanoids are wrapped up like mummies and are arranged in various circles. What do you think is going on here? But one carving in
That's the
the
moon.
ceiling has survived, and instead of satisfying our curiosity, it actually increases our curiosity. Krishna is standing in the middle with a flute. Now, if you look around the first circle, you will see 8 dancers around him. In the next circle, you will see 16 chakras and kongs positioned symmetrically. In the outermost circle, you can see 32 cows. And if you look at the square around this, you can count 64 floral patterns. But this gets more weird if you have studied ancient Indian texts. Krishna is the 8th avatar of Vishnu. The flute he's playing has 8 holes, and there are 8 dancers.
Maybe.
They could be his wives called Ashtalakshmis.
Weird. Maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
You can see 8 kongs precisely pointing in 8 directions. And there are 8 chakras. And if we zoom in on each chakra, each one has exactly 8 teeth, like the teeth of a deer. If you look at the cows, it gets very interesting. Because initially I thought it's just a random array of 32 cows. But if you observe carefully, again, you see that there are 4 types of cows shown. Some with very long horns, some with medium horns, etc. This, again, means there are 8 carvings of any particular type or breed. I'm sure we can find that hidden 8.
Bro, I don't know why. I'm feeling like this is a connection to the flood. Maybe Noah's sons came back to this part of the world and wanted to write down how God, this is God and this is the 8 family members who survived from the flood, and they spread out. I don't know. I kind of see.
In the outer square also, if these patterns have not
And look, these are all the animals that they took, right? Maybe.
partially destroyed. There's some weird connection between the number 8 and these ceiling carvings. But nearly all the other carvings have been destroyed, so it's impossible to decode
Yeah. Obsession with snakes. Interesting.
anymore. What was the obsession with snakes? What are the ancient builders trying?
I think they're saying, they're saying that, okay, because I heard that there's always these demon snakes all around us. So basically, spiritual battle, we're fighting against the devil, maybe? What's this one about?
Anymore.
Let me see what
Here again, you can see a spectacular carving with intertwined nagas. You can see the 8 sides of this panel, but the other details are not so visible anymore. What was the obsession with snakes? What are the ancient builders trying to tell us here? This giant guy is fighting this giant snake, and he's holding on to a tree. And look, there is a baby hiding in the tree. And this tiny guy is fighting this tiny snake.
Maybe it's the story, right? It's just like the story of the ancient lore, right? Which is fascinating. I'd love to just see what would happen. Now let's see ancient India. So basically, these are the first photos that when they came and took a photo. And this guy's saying that he used a very specific word. He said, I probably can remember that word. It's like such a distinct difference. Like people are living in like shacks and like with huts, and then they're living in these massive, ornate, nice buildings. But basically, they found these things after the flood. These things are still here, man. That's what I'm saying, man. The big ones, at least. That people copied them. But basically, no, I'm saying that they probably just found them. Let's see.
Of written language, and often we will find ties that pull us back directly to India. I believe we must ask, when were these structures abandoned before being absorbed into the new kingdoms that made up India? These images that we have looked at today, I believe, truly speak for themselves.
Yeah, dude, it looks like a flood just came to destroy everything. Yeah, man, that's what I was saying. That these people just came like, yo, let's start living here, rebuilding on top of it. It's like the whole world, everyone's figuring it out. Like this one, maybe they like found it again, rebuilt it or something, retouched it up or in this case, they still had the knowledge, I think, that they could be replicated. Because in the 1800s, during the 1800s, people all knew, like they already knew, they still believed in everything from the past. It was only about 200 years ago that these elites started their mass brainwashing witchcraft project. Because they had more power to do that. Because they created the government, they had to create the American government. And then they could control, they had this power to do all this manipulation in the world. And then they could go and attack any country, you know what I mean? And then they could, these elites who control the government, they could use that military to keep taking over different nations, governments, until now they take over the whole world, basically. And they're teaching their one world belief system. That all religions are one, which is not true. Yeah, man, this was destroyed from the flood. Well, people just came and lived in it. They cleaned it up and they lived there. That's what I'm seeing. Straight up, dude. There was a time where there were these kingdoms, and these ones probably were built, actually, these ones were probably built by people, but it was basically, just like in the Tartarian conspiracy, if you look at the Tartarian Empire, basically, because, okay, if you think about it, after the flood, people started spreading out, but a majority of them still remembered and retained the past, the records, the knowledge, and knew that God flooded the world, and people were afraid. I mean, they didn't want that to happen again, but they still trusted that God would never do it again, right? He promised he never would flood the world again. But then they still had knowledge, man. They still had knowledge, so they were still able to come and just build a fat empire. But over time, Satan has ways of destroying empires, and that they just get forgotten. But all their architecture had this knowledge of the world, basically that we're living in a dome, and like sacred geometry, mathematics, that they had these tall ceilings and big doors, and they had a lot of space so people could have great, like they cared about people's lives. But then, pardon me, Satan, who controls these like witch people, these witches and warlocks control our world. They use these like witchcraft energy controlling spellcraft, like, and they use manipulation basically to control people, and they use that to control the world, and they want to bind humanity. So they make it really harder for everyone to live. So everything's getting like, we're getting stuck living in a box. Wow, look at that one. Yeah, so some of these things are built by like kings that from like kingdoms who were good kings, good rulers, good leaders, good governments, but now everything's corrupt, right? Yeah, this one's not pre-flood. This one's like, because during the time, these eras, probably it was like 1600s, these things existed, these big palaces, kingdoms. And I think I told you that some of these, let's see. Wow, this one looks pre-flood. Anyway, guys, I think I've gone long enough. Yeah, man. Like, this is how they're living, basically. And you're gonna tell me that they built this stuff? They built this, these type of things? Yeah, man. That's kind of really big, like, discreet, like, difference. Like, all right, guys. Thanks for watching. God bless you and your families. Peace.